What if a single complaint could put an entire university at risk? What if a rule meant to stop discrimination ends up dividing campuses even more? In January 2026, the UGC quietly changed its equity regulations. Within days, protests erupted. Petitions reached the Supreme Court. Students, teachers, and politicians started debating whether the outcome represents legal redress for the selected or a case of administrative scope. The UGC's 2026 regulations on caste discrimination were framed after sustained scrutiny by the Supreme Court, which repeatedly flagged failures in the implementation of earlier safeguards. The issue reached the court through a 2019 bill filed by the mothers of Rohith Vemula and Payal Tadvi, who argued that anti-discrimination guidelines introduced in 2012 existing largely on paper and were not enforced on campuses. In January 2025, the Supreme Court accepted that most institutions had failed to set up grievance redressal systems or equal opportunity cells, leaving students from the marginalized communities without institutional support. The court directed the UGC to collect data from all universities, file affidavits on complaints received, and submit action taken reports. Concerns resurfaced in 2025 after IIT Delhi student suicides, prompting the court to order a national task force on student mental health. Over the last 5 years, reported complaints of caste-based discrimination in higher education have risen sharply. According to data submitted to Parliament and Supreme Court, in 2019 to 20, there were 173 complaints. By 2023 to 24, the number jumped to 378, an increase of over 118%. The UGC says this proves one thing: discrimination still exists, and the old system was failing to stop it. So, in January 2026, the University Finance Commission rolled out new rules: the promotion of equity in higher education institutions regulations 2026. On paper, the goal sounded noble: eradicate discrimination, protect dignity, ensure equity for all. But on campuses, the reaction was anything but calm. On January 13, 2026, the UGC notifies new equity regulations that replaces the framework that had existed since 2012. Within days, questions began to rise. Are these rules fair to everyone? What about false complaints? Then comes the backlash. Every petition is filed in the Supreme Court by a VHU researcher. Political voices enter the debate. Rajya Sabha MP Priyanka Chaturvedi demands amendments. A BJP MLC from Uttar Pradesh wants that general category students may feel unsafe. Student unions from Uttarakhand to Uttar Pradesh submit letters. They talk about fear, about distrust, about misuse. Meanwhile, the government responds cautiously. A BJP MP assures that all misconceptions will be clarified soon, but by then the fire had already spread. To understand the anger, we need to understand the change. Under 2012 rules, universities had anti-discrimination officer, an equal opportunity cell, complaints that could take up to 60 days. It was largely advisory, paper heavy, and often ignored. Now enter 2026. The new regulations build an entire enforcement machinery. Every university must now have an equal opportunity center, a multi-member equity committee chaired by the vice chancellor, mandatory representation of SC, ST, OBC, women, and persons with disabilities. Into that, equity squads roaming campuses, equity ambassadors in hostels and departments, a 24 by 7 equity helpline, an online complaint portal, and strict deadlines. Committee meets within 24 hours, report in 15 working days. It must take action in 7 days. Non-compliances: UGC can withdraw funding, cancel degree programs, even derecognize institutions. This is no longer symbolic, this is a structural power. Here is where the debate really intensifies. For the first time, the 2026 rule explicitly include other backward classes within the caste-based discrimination protections. This is not a small change. According to the latest data by All India Survey on Higher Education for 2021 to 2022, SC, ST and OBC students together make up 60% of India's higher education enrollment. That means the majority of students now fall under explicit protection. Supporters say this reflects reality. OBC students face discrimination too. Critics say this massively expands the scope of complaints and shifts the balance of power. The fear isn't about equity itself, it's about scale. The protections become wide and enforcement is strong. Even a few bad cases of misuse can shake trust across campuses. Now comes the most controversial part. Do the 2026 rules punish false complaints? The short answer is no. Just like in 2012, there is no definition of malicious complaint, no penalty for proven false accusation. Supporters argue adding penalties will silence the genuine victims. Opponents counter no safeguards mean presumption of guilt. Both fears are real and both can coexist. Other laws from anti-ragging to workplace harassment use the same dilemma. The issue isn't protection versus fairness. It's whether institutions are trusted enough to balance both.